Hey, my fellow boxing fans, how are you doing? Yeah, first I want to say a little bit about this foregone weekend's uh, biggest fights. Yeah, I mean, uh, yeah, my prediction kind of went home when it comes to Benavides Andrade fight, and even though I didn't expect it to end so soon, of course, but. It was a very impressive victory by Benavides, and yeah. Andre just looked like he couldn't handle getting hit like that, and yeah, that sets big question marks about his future and his fighting at 168 because if you cannot take punches from Benavides, you most likely won't be able to take punches from Morel or Canelo or Plant, even any of the best, I would say, 168 pounders, yeah, because none of them are feather fisted for sure. Yeah, yeah, there was that fight. I didn't get to see it, unfortunately, Subriel Matias, but he did win. I heard, and by corner stoppage, but it was some sort of an injury, I guess, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say something before I went on to doing my usual, you know, routine. I just saw that Emiliano Marsili of Italy is still active at the age of 47, and he is still unbeaten. Wow, how incredible is that? And yet, this guy never got to fight for a world title. People, never. I mean, when you consider who got to fight, like certain less definitely less talented guys who didn't have anywhere near that kind of record. He's 42 and 0 with one draw. Isn't that amazing? Wow. And he's still fighting, poor guy. But obviously now, he's fighting at a lower level. I mean, not, he knows at this point it's too late to go for the world title at 135. But he's fighting a very tall guy, Gavin Gwynn, who, despite being 33, is still a lot younger, of course. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting fight. Will Gwynn be the one to finally take that zero away? Well, I don't know really. I don't even want to do that fight, but anyway, I just had to give a sort of a shout out to Emiliano Marsili, a very good fighter who, for some reason, never got the fights that was supposed to, Because he did he stopped Derry Matthews and, yeah, he beat a couple other really pretty good, decent fighters. So, I think he should have been given the chance. But it's hard when you are not based in UK or USA, and yeah, you know how it is. Yeah. So he beat actually Gamaliel Diaz for the vacant WBC silver title. So yeah, you can say he kind of won a title, but it wasn't the one, So yeah. Anyway, he's just a really good fighter. And right, well, let's go then to the first fight. Mikey Garcia is returning. No, sorry, not Mikey. Ryan Garcia. Ryan is returning against a guy who has a reputation as a big puncher. A guy called Oscar Duarte, a Mexican fighter. Yeah. So, yeah, let's see. Uh, Duarte is 27, only 2 years older than Garcia, all right, and he's an inch shorter, but it's not a big. He's got actually almost an inch reach advantage. Yeah, yeah. So Mikey Ryan once again. Sorry, Ryan Garcia is coming off his first loss. Of course, that was a devastating one to Gervonta Davis, and I don't know why they chose to match him against another puncher right away in his first comeback fight, but I guess they maybe he wants to be, he doesn't want to be pampered or anything. So that's the right spirit, yeah. He has to keep, proving himself and fighting the best opposition available. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. So, Ryan Garcia otherwise has been, has proven himself as a really effective puncher, and yeah, he's got 19 knockouts of 23 wins, and yeah, he just is a guy who does get kind of, does get clipped and has been down and all that, but usually he comes back to win by a knockout, yeah, most of his fights, and well, I don't know much about this guy Duarte, but he's got a really pretty high, of course, knockout percentage, 80. Yeah, so he hasn't really fought yet anybody who's really like off note, but he's fought. I see some guys who had kind of decent record before. Yeah. So anyway, I think of course Ryan is the you must pick him as a favorite here, of course. And but will he score a knockout? Well, probably because fighting a puncher, there isn't much chance of this being a technical fight or anything. So it will be probably decided by a knockout, and in that way, of course, you gotta favor the younger and probably faster also the more explosive guy who has been there against better opponents and has beaten almost all of them. So yeah, that's Ryan Garcia, of course. So I think he will probably win by yeah knockout like in 7 or 8 rounds, something like that. All right, and then we move on to Belfast, and the second big fight of next weekend is between Michael Conlan and Jordan Gill. Yeah, Jordan Gill, who has somewhat of you a dark horse, but yeah, Michael Conlan is coming off pretty bad loss, knockout loss in 5 rounds to Luis Alberto Lopez, and that's why this is a pretty important fight, a must-win fight more or less for him. He's already lost two. I believe it was two, right? Yeah, 18 2 and 0. And also Gill has lost two fights, and also him both by stoppage. So yeah, and Conlan is 3 years older at 32, has 1 inch height advantage, and it doesn't show how big. I don't think. Just a second. Jordan Gill's reach isn't shown here, but let's see maybe on BoxRec. No, no. So anyway, Jordan Gill is the slightly shorter guy, but he's just a really kind of rather slightly built guy. That's his problem. Because when he lost to Kiko Martinez, he was just blown away. He just fell quite. I mean, when he was hit, he would like just collapse, to the canvas. So yeah, he cannot take that kind of power, all that stuff. But against, yeah, and Conlan has, he has the power to knock him out. Definitely, he has. And the problem with him is that he too often, waits to land that one perfect shot. But what is common is to both that they both fought Karim Gerfi and both score a knockout. But Conlan stopped him in one round only, while Gill just managed to barely like come from behind and knock him out in the ninth round. So there, all that speaks in Conlan's favor. However, him having come, off a pretty bad loss, even though it wasn't as bad as the one to Lay Wood, where he was, knocked unconscious in the last round. He can be a little, affected by that. So maybe Gil, yeah, Gil hasn't also fought this year actually, while Conlan has. So yeah, still, despite all that, those last two things I think can give Gil a slight edge, but I think Conlan is simply a better fighter. He's got really good reflexes, and his punching accuracy is pretty good. And against Lee Wood, he nearly knocked out Wood, in the end of the first round. He was kind of unlucky in that fight. You might say that he didn't win and early on. So yeah, I expect him to just overpower, Jordan Gill after a couple, maybe 2 3 rounds, and probably this will end like in the first 6 rounds. I think probably something like that. Yeah, maybe seven. Yeah, yeah, I think so because Conlan has the power, and Gill, while he does have power, some power, he's shown against Garfi, he has to really nail you with that perfect punch, to really get you out of there. While Conlan has kind of a more chance, because he's, I think, a two-handed puncher. While I don't think Gil is two-fisted. I mean, yeah, yeah. So that'll be all for this time. And next week there will be some more interesting fights to predict. So take care. Until then, see you.